Hi there. I'm doing an impromptu single book review today because I just finished Hang the Moon by Alexandria Bellefleur and I have a lot of feelings that I want to talk about. This angle we need to fix. Is that better? Maybe, who knows. Anyway, I just finished Hang the Moon and I have very complicated feelings about it and I'm just gonna sort of talk through them. So this is the story of Annie, who is coming to Seattle to visit her best friend before she ends up moving to London. And when she gets there, Darcy is away, so she ends up spending some time with Darcy's brother, and you know, smoochy smoochy, it's a romance. You get it from there. This video will have full spoilers so that I can properly express my rage. So if you don't want spoilers, click off. I will say I ended up giving this one 4 stars, so even though this is going to be a bit ranty, I do not condemn this book in any way. I thought it was still solid, but hence the need to rant about my very complicated feelings. So my first problem with this book is that it's a romance when it should be a friendship story. Like, Annie is coming to Seattle to visit Darcy, and Darcy isn't there for a little bit, like a week. She's there for 2 weeks and Darcy's gone for a week, so she ends up spending time with Brendan. Sure, fine, but once Darcy comes back, they still don't spend any time together. Like, it's still just Darcy trying to manipulate Annie into staying by pimping out Brendan. It's really upsetting. Like, I didn't get a good sense that they were friends at all. Darcy, also from the previous book, is very different from the character she was there. Brendan too, I feel like I actually liked Brendan in the first book and I didn't really like him here. That all sort of leads into that I don't think this can be read as a standalone. I think it would be too confusing because it focuses a lot on the same group of characters, but you don't get a sense of their backstory because it was all covered in the first one. And stuff like Darcy's relationship with her parents was covered there, who are also Brendan's parents, so then they don't rehash that. But like, you still want it from Brendan's perspective, right? He could have a different perspective and a different relationship. It kept like referring back to the first book, which felt so strange to me. I think my biggest problem with the book is that you figure out the resolution of the book about halfway through. Annie figures out that she doesn't actually want to move to London and that the job that she's going there for isn't really her passion. But the way that they resolve it is through a boy, which is gross. Like, there was never any mention of move to Seattle because your best friend is there and that like that would be enough. No, it was always your best friend is there and also Brendan loves you and he will do anything for you and you need to give him a chance. You shouldn't move for a boy you've been dating for a week. You just shouldn't. But going to Seattle, there's absolutely no problem with that. If you don't want to go to London and your best friend lives in Seattle, sure, by all means move to Seattle, but like, the boy shouldn't factor into it virtually at all. The only thing that she says that is sort of valid is like, what if she and Brendan break up? And like, that would suck to have to see him with somebody else. Which, sure, but like, that's gonna be a problem no matter where you go. That's just a problem with like best friend's brother stories. I hated how everyone was constantly manipulating her into it. They would invite her places and then oops, they didn't show up and it's just Brendan and they have to spend time together. I hated it. I felt like they weren't good friends. And now I'm saying that I hated it, but I still gave this book 4 stars. I still thought the writing was really strong. I thought the first half was really good before Darcy came home, where it was allowed to breathe as just a romance. I thought that was really good. There's a cute scene on the Ferris wheel. They go to a drive-in that's precious. Like, there's a lot of building blocks there, but then the whole second half was just this drawn-out conflict for no reason. Like, they tried to justify it, but as a reader, you knew exactly where it was going. This book also was different from my expectations of it because after reading Written in the Stars, Brendan is the character you know. Annie you've met consistently, but like Brendan is a pretty central character, and I really liked him and I was really excited about reading his story, but I felt like he was very different in this one and very just sort of generic hot boy, and it was more Annie's story, which isn't really what I signed up for. And I liked Annie well enough. She was just also kind of generic hot girl. They didn't really have the interest that Darcy and Elle had in the first book. They felt like they could have been plucked from any romance book from anywhere. I also hated that Brendan's plotline is about how the dating app that he runs is having some trouble and he's trying to innovate it. And the thing that he comes up with is adding love languages. That's the resolution of the B plot, is just have another quiz on your quiz dating site. That's nothing. That's a nothing thing. And he like thanks Annie for all of her contributions into it. And like there wasn't even that much of a discussion around love languages. Which, sure, like in a dating app, it's good to know what your partner wants, but Annie didn't do that. He could have come up with that on his own, and it's a really lame resolution to a conflict. And then the book ends with an epilogue proposal, which the first book didn't do. In this book, Elle and Darcy are like in the process of moving in together, which I definitely like. I don't like the quick turnaround engagement for whatever reason. It's fine if other people like it, but I don't know. They get engaged after 7 months. I don't love for me. But the other thing that I hated was that earlier in the book they talk about the favorite place that each of them have been, and Annie's is a lavender field in France, and Brendan's favorite place is Tomorrowland at Disneyland, which like is Tomorrowland even that great? Like Disneyland in general, you have to pick Tomorrowland specifically. And then they talk about how they both like Space Mountain, but then the proposal is on Space Mountain, but like that's his favorite place, not her favorite place. So it felt self-indulgent for him to like sort of make the proposal all about him. And I thought it was cute. He like had a shirt under his shirt that said, "Will you marry me?" that he revealed when the camera takes the shot and then they look at it after. That's cute. But like the whole scene in general didn't do it for me. I think this is a really good instance of a book where I like the book, but I don't like the characters. But I can still recognize the merits of the book and still give it a 4-star. Like I'm confident in my 4-star. Giving it a 3-star feels wrong. I'm just not gonna do it. But this definitely didn't live up to what Written in the Stars was. Written in the Stars also has a big astrology factor. Like Elle is an astrologist and writes horoscopes and stuff, and they tried to carry that through this book without actually talking about it. Like Elle is the only one who talks about it, but there are little like chapter headers where it's like, what type of ice cream are you based on your sign? And why was that there? It was only there because it was there in the first book. Like this isn't a book unto itself. This is just the B plot of the first book extended out to 300 and whatever pages. There is going to be a third book coming next year, which is Margot's story, who is Elle's roommate. She's fine, but I don't know anything about her. I feel like I know these characters less after this book than I did after the first book. And I read the first book in April? It wasn't that long ago, so my memory isn't that bad. I just have very complicated feelings about it. It's really just I was mad at everyone for bullying Annie into liking Brendan. Yeah, obviously she likes him, but you shouldn't move somewhere for a guy you've been dating for a week. Especially when like he never mentioned moving for her. Like she was gonna move to London. Why can't he move? There's probably reasons, but I don't know them because they never talked about it. They just kept manipulating her into trying to convince her to stay. I also, oh, I should find it. She has a list of pros and cons about Seattle and London, and the pros of Seattle are like great food, great weather, even the rain isn't that bad, great art scene. And it's like, do you think London doesn't have food and art? These are just generic things you can find in any semi-large city. Like, what are you talking about? Seattle's fine, nothing against Seattle, but like, I think the majority of people would probably prefer London. The only thing that is in Seattle is people that you know, which is perfectly valid, but don't try to like dress it up with this BS. They have nice weather, even the rain stuff. Made me mad. Part of that was she also sort of discovered that the job that she was doing wasn't really what she wanted to do. But you can also do that job anywhere. They like gave her a list of options for jobs, but that doesn't mean you're guaranteed to get any of those jobs. Getting a job is still hard a lot of the time, even though she has a lot of specialization. Because it's specialized, like, there won't be that many opportunities available. So in the end, she like freelances. She actually, no, I think she gets a job doing technical writing and then also freelances for passion projects. But like, what are those? How does that make any sense? She does translation. How can you passion project translation that someone else is paying you to do? It just irked me so much that everyone was pressuring her to move, when like, you do you, boo. I don't care where you go. I just want you to make this decision yourself and not have everyone piling on you. But it also was so obvious from like the halfway point that she was gonna move, and then they drew out the conflict for the rest of the book, which was so dumb. And it's not like she even moved to London and then grand gesture in London and a year later something happens. It's like, no, it's just exactly what Brendan laid out like the second time that they talked. Just happened. And it felt like you took all agency away from Annie, which like you didn't. She still came to the conclusion on her own. But like, would she have come to that conclusion if everyone hadn't been bullying her for the past 2 weeks? Maybe. We'll never know. Do you really want someone to stay with you because you tricked them into it? Anyway, I'm sure this video is long enough. If you read Hang the Moon, please, I would love to know your thoughts on it. I have many. I also did a vlog for Written in the Stars. You can watch that too. It's a lot calmer than this one, I will say. Maybe since I've already done 2, I'll have to do another one when the next book comes out. So look forward to summer 2022. Thank you for listening to me rant, and I'll see you in my next video.